Rump steak is the topic, and today we're making my favorite variation, which is rat's herring toast. It's a fantasy name from my grandmother. That's how it used to be on our holiday table. The best rump steak on toast with blonde onions and, of course, poached egg. Welcome, CALLEkocht. Looks good, doesn't it? This is dry aged. A nice hot pan is what we need, and we're going to place our unseasoned steaks there. And indeed, sear it really hot, sear it well on both sides. It goes so fast that we need to hurry to cut the onions into rings. Carmen just said, you could have done that earlier too. She's right. So, the onions into thin rings. So, take a look. We already have a bit of color. The other side just the same, and then comes the next step. The legitimate question is, when should the steak come out? Again, out of the pan. Right here, it forms quite easily. You can see it there. A little bit of meat juice on top of the steak, on the unseasoned steak. I'm taking that out of my plate. And now we're going to season it quickly. But the pan is so nice and hot, and all my roasting juices from the steak are in there. Now we're adding our 5 onions, which I just cut into half rings. And I'm using the heat to saute my onions here. And I'm supporting the whole thing with pepper and salt. Please don't let the onions burn. We want blonde onions. Salt in my hand right now so I can season my steaks with salt and pepper. Here, this is the meat juice I was talking about, clearly visible. Pepper on top. We're of course doing the same thing on the second side. Oh, my mouth is watering. We're going to let the steaks rest for a bit. And actually, here in the oven, I've set it to approximately about 60-70 degrees or so, which is comfortable. Just leave it in there until the onions are done. And my grandma, the onions were sauteed like this. She added a very important ingredient here, and that's a splash of water. Got it. This splash of water helps us cook the onions. And I promise you, water will evaporate again soon. You can clearly see that the onions have taken on a bit of color. Those are, of course, the roasting juices from our meat. My grandma always added a little splash of a secret ingredient. In this case, however, teriyaki sauce. I find a bit nicer. And just like that, we have what we want. Cook the onions with the roasting flavors from the meat and a bit of seasoning. So, we can also start frying our eggs. Isn't it cute, right? Perfectly made. For 2 eggs. So, the toast can go in now. The food is almost ready. Preheated, stone plate, and my grandmother also set aside a few cucumbers. And now the blonde onions come into play. Just like that on the steak. Here come our fried eggs in the little pan. They just slide right out. And now let's cut into our rat's herring toast. You can imagine what a fried egg tastes like. Here the blonde onions, right? And the steak, which is rested, bit now. Let's take a look at that now. Look at how this looks here. Look! It doesn't always have to be a big kitchen. Sometimes all you need are onions, fried eggs, toast, and a steak. And this quick recipe from Grandma, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel.